Is this working? Hello everyone and welcome back to episode 2 of Take a Hike with Me. I'm Mallory and today we're looking at a wet prairie. Let's talk about a prairie. So, what is a prairie? A prairie is a type of grassland found in North America and mostly in the Great Plains. And grassland is defined as being mostly made up of grasses, shrubs, and herbs. Now, you may be thinking, Mallory, there are trees. I can clearly see trees. And yes, there are trees in grasslands, but as you can also see, there's not that many, and it's definitely not enough to be considered a forest. Now, there are grasslands all across the world. Probably one of the most prominent ones that comes to my mind is the savannas in Africa, which obviously look very different, but follow the same general principles. They mostly have grasses, shrubs, and herbs, and also they tend to be a little bit drier. But what did I say earlier? We're in a wet prairie, right? So if a prairie is typically dry and we're in a wet prairie, how does that compute? Well, it's not wholly a requisite for all prairies to be dry, but a wet prairie looks a little bit different in the soil composition and how high the water table is in the area. So the soil composition of a wet prairie is going to be mostly made up of things like sand, gravel, peat, and muck. Muck because the water table is so high, right? And when I say water table, I'm thinking of how far do you have to dig down to get to the groundwater. But two birds that we know have nesting spots out here are bluebirds and tree swallows. And one bird that we know is out here because of the nests of the bluebirds and the tree swallows is cowbirds. Now, what is a cowbird? The ones that I've seen out here are ones that look like they have a brown head and black body. They're kind of a chunky bird, and those are male cowbirds. Female cowbirds are a pretty plain brown, look very similar to a lot of other birds, honestly. But the interesting thing about cowbirds is that they are parasitic nesters, which means they don't really form their own nest. They lay eggs in the nests of other birds. One quick fun fact about a cowbird, they got the name cowbird because they are known for following cattle, such as cows and bison, around in the fields and eating the insects that are stirred up by them walking around. Okay, the next thing we're going to look for is bluebirds. I have not seen many bluebirds out here. They've been kind of sparse. So I'm going to put a nice little photo right here of what a bluebird looks like. They have that pretty blue matte head and shoulders and back and wings, and then they have that rust-colored chest. Super pretty. Now, one fun thing about bluebirds is that the bluebird males may just be a rightful owner of the world's best dad mug. So bluebird males will find a cavity because bluebirds nest in cavities. He'll get the supplies, he'll sing a pretty song to bring a pretty female along, and then once she lays eggs and is incubating them, he brings food to them, and then he helps protect the babies once they are alive and hatched and all of that. So really, good job, bluebird dads. Unfortunately though, despite their wonderfulness as fathers, only about 30% of hatchlings make it in their first year, which is not a super high number and is kind of sad. But luckily, they are not endangered as of right now, and there are plenty of people studying them and making sure their populations are doing well. The next bird we're going to talk about is tree swallows, which are a super pretty bird. The males are a blackish color with a white chest, and then up on their shoulder blade, wing blade area, it's a greenish blue, almost iridescent color. So they're really pretty as well. And they are also pretty good dads, and some believe, and I think that there is research into the fact that they have their own like brooding pouch, and so that they can help incubate eggs as well, which is super cool. So we're gonna look for those. One more fun fact though is that they're messy nesters in that they use feathers as part of their bedding in their nest, which makes their nest look horribly messy, as opposed to a bluebird who they have no feathers in their nest intentionally, and So their nest has a lot more clean of a look. I was able to work with some people earlier this year on like researching for nests, and so this is what a bluebird nest looks like. Super clean, super nice, and the tree swallow nest is a little less clean. Now, I do not recommend, unless you're going out and doing research with people who are authorized to do the research, to ever look into a bird's nest. Leave it alone. Let nature be nature. If you're going out with professionals who are doing research, obviously that's okay, but otherwise I'd suggest leaving them alone. So the last little critter that we're going to talk about today is the alfalfa butterfly, or the orange sulfur butterfly. I prefer the name alfalfa butterfly, and they're itty bitty little things with a wingspan ranging from about 3/4 of an inch to just over 2.5 inches. So not very big at all. They're a little yellow, they have some orange on them, they have like this purplish bluish color on them sometimes. They're super pretty and they're super cool, and they actually get their name from the fact that when there's so many of them, they can be a pest to the alfalfa plant, which is super funny to think about, like just being named after something that you're a major pest of. If I had to be named after something I was a major pest of, I think it would probably have to be like after my parents or my siblings. Those are probably the people I'm the biggest up of those pale beard tongues. Let me zoom in a little more. They are so pretty. They have a little cone shape. Absolutely adore them. So at the beginning of the video, I talked about a lot of different things that we might see, but I did guarantee one thing, and here it is. The standing water in the wet prairie. It looks really gross. It really does. We want... Oh, hopefully I caught that. It lifted. There she blows. You just saw an alfalfa butterfly pass by. You'll never believe what I just found in this wet prairie. More standing water. I've done it now, folks. I've found more standing water. Well, that's it for this episode of Take a Hike with Me. Thank you for joining me in the beautiful wet prairie. We got to see some cool things. We missed out on some cowbirds and some bluebirds, but that's okay. We'll catch them next time, and you still got to learn some fun facts about them. Join me again next week, and until then, later, taters.